Hello and welcome to Basement Fodder, the only show popular enough to get its very own porn parody. I'm Todd.
And I'm Dave.
Who's playing you?
I'll be playing me.
Oh. Damn.
Yeah. Who's going to play you?
Louis Anderson.
Louis Anderson?
Yeah.
I thought it'd be John Goodman.
Man, why do you hate me?
Because John Goodman's a better actor.
No, the better actor, but this is porn. It's about dick size. They need somebody with a really small dick, fat and annoying, and they found Louis Anderson.
Well, that's why I figured we'd at least give you the better actor.
Nah, well, I mean, point taken. It probably, my luck actually in porn, it'd probably be Ron Jeremy, because he's like the go-to fat guy for everything.
Hey, at least, yeah.
Although, isn't he retired now?
Yeah, I think he's retired.
Isn't he? I don't have a new fat guy, I don't think.
I don't know. But at least if it was Ron Jeremy, he'd have a huge dick.
A massive dick.
Yeah. But he'd also have like 10 times more gray hair.
Yeah, it's true. I'd be much more horrifyingly ugly, too. Mm-hmm. I can't say many better looking than many people, but Ron Jeremy, I could with confidence say I've beaten.
I say out of the three of those lists, I say John Goodman's probably the better looking of all of them.
Yeah.
Because Louis Anderson, you just want to blow his brains out.
That would be a hard fucking disparity between ages of us, though, because I'm older than you, but my God, not by that much. John Goodman's like 60-something, and you're only 30, what, 30?
30.
I'm like 4 years older than you, man. I'm not like 34 years older than you.
Okay, well, who could we get then? Okay, we'll think about it and come back to it.
Mark Addy is who I always think of as playing me in something. Or the dude from Simon Pegg movies, Nick Frost.
Oh, yeah, Nick Frost.
Nick Frost would be a good me.
Yeah.
And, of course, Kevin Smith.
Yeah, but we can never get him to do porn.
Sadly. His dick's too small. It's like me. His dick's too small.
No, his wife would kill him.
That, too.
Yeah.
He could just use the fleshlight.
Yeah.
Anywho, the reason we're on this subject is right before we started recording, you showed me a news story about a Golden Girls porn parody. Yep. I shit you not. Yeah. This ain't the Golden Girls.
No, it's not.
Then we watched
we didn't.
Well, it was a safe trailer. Like, we watched the Safe for Work version of trailer, which did not include any sex in it, but...
It's still, like, warped your mind.
The word. I said it sort of answers the question, like, what do, regular porn stars do as they get older? And apparently if they're women, they start doing weird shit like this. And that weird granny porn that
that's how it is. The older you get in porn, the less no you can say. Mm. Will you do this? I don't want to. Do you want to have a job? Yeah. Okay. So...
I guess, for me, I think porn could be something you could see doing when you're younger, like, to make money and, like, it's something easy to do or whatever. But, like, getting older, it just becomes more shameful as the years go on,
Yeah, but once you do porn, dude, like, what are you going to do? I
don't know. Plenty of people have done porn and then gone on to do other things, these days. Like, not in the past, maybe, but, I mean, like Tracy Lords,
Yeah. Okay, so... Maybe like 5 porn stars have actually gone on to do something special with their life other than
Sylvester Stallone did porn.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That was probably the highlight of his acting career.
Rocky Balboa was the highlight of his acting career. Anywho. Well, it's been a long time between shows, but not quite over a week, so that's a good thing. Because we like to try not to miss a week. But we have modified our recording schedule due to your school schedule and everything.
Yep.
You think it would be easier for us to get a show recorded since you live here now? But
it seemed harder.
Actually, somehow harder because of, like, I don't know, the way things just work out. Because we're used to your work schedule.
Yeah.
And both of us are usually up all night. But with your school schedule, since you're going during the day,
I'm having to be up.
You're like more tired, and having to drive into school.
We were gonna do it last night, but then we were both like, as soon as we got home, it was like, all right, we're gonna do a show. Okay. And we both fucking passed out. I didn't wake up till.
No, you did wake up.
Okay,
you woke up like for a minute.
Not like fully woke up. Like, I apparently like sleep talked to you.
You woke up, came out, went to the bathroom, had about a 10-minute conversation with me, then went back to bed.
Yeah, I don't remember.
And posted some things on Facebook. So you were awake enough to do that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I mean, how many conversations have we had where I've been asleep? So
yeah, I was about to say, and my mom has told me before when I was younger that she's like talked to me while I was asleep, and she's done it to me too. Like I've talked to her while she was asleep, and it's all jibber jabber bullshit. But I'm not surprised that I've like posted on Facebook too while I was asleep.
We've had like phone conversations where I've been asleep for the entire time and don't remember it later, and you're like, I talked to you for like a half an hour today, and I'm like, okay, was I participating?
Yes, you were.
Sometimes, and if like it's worse though if I start off and I'm really tired, and I'll just fall asleep, and then I don't participate right away.
Yeah.
But if I'm already sleeping, you got me.
Yeah, that's a full-on conversation.
Then you want to ask me the questions. Then.
Yeah. Yep. That's always the good stuff.
It's been a very busy week.
Oh God.
Especially like with you having your classes and stuff. It's been a busy week for me too. I've been working on several written projects. I just finished up an interview with a cosplayer and I have a couple other interviews to do that are going to be on a website that I'm not sure the web address of it yet because it hasn't started yet, but kind of a little vaguely hush-hush at the moment, but I have been doing interviews. I'm also writing an article, and then we also got an amazingly awesome news and like an offer to do something really great that I can't really talk about yet. But
yeah, we can't mention it yet.
We're both very excited about it, to be honest.
Yes.
And like, wow,
stiffest
like
dicks.
Yes, the stiffest of dicks for sure. What I can talk about though is that we just signed to do Yo Ice, which is a Youngstown independent comics expo. Which is on September the 13th in Youngstown. I'll get the address up, and I shared the links out for it already. And then also, it's going to be a very busy weekend because that's the same weekend as the Columbus Toy Show and the Video Game Expo, which we'll be doing on Saturday. We won't be setting up there, obviously. We'll just be going for toys. And we'll be going to that on Saturday out of the Lausch building at the fairgrounds. Lausch, the new home of fucking everything we go to in Columbus.
You want to do something in Columbus? You do it at the Lausch.
Well, for many years it was at the Vets Memorial Building downtown,
sense.
but they tore that down because it was getting old and decrepit.
Very
and the Lausch building is the most logical place because it's actually a really big, open, kind of concrete slab building that gives you tons and tons of space
and parking.
Like, parking. Yeah, good parking, but they fucking charge for it, which is lame. Like for every show, and from what I understand, they charge vendors for parking too, which I think is like hella lame.
That's super.
That should be included in the cost of your table to me. But yeah, that's another one way or the other. But we'll be doing the Youngstown Ice Show. It's a very independent show, and I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been to Youngstown since I was a kid. I didn't actually realize how far of a trek it was until we looked it up a little bit ago. It's about
I think the last time I went
2 hours and 40 minutes.
I went through Youngstown was when I went to the last that DR event in Pennsylvania. Yeah, I passed through it.
The interesting thing is that they asked me to write a bio for us for the Youngstown show.
Oh, really?
I had an interesting time writing a bio. I never really wrote a bio for anything before myself, like as far as for us. And I wrote it, and I was just, I don't know, like it came out fine.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen worse bios.
Yeah, I mean, it came out fine. It just, oh, God.
Very recently.
I'm not talking about that.
Very recently.
I also wanted to say that one of our good friends, Sarah, who's a cosplayer, actually just started her own Facebook page for her cosplay and named it. She's like doing actual professional cosplaying name now, which I think is Mary Mercenary, which is kind of a cool name.
That is pretty cool. I dig that.
Yeah.
Considering she's very like G.I. Joe.
Yeah, she does a lot of Merc kind of characters like Domino and stuff like that, and she's very well known for her Baroness and her. I'm not big into Battlestar Galactica, but she does a very good Starbuck, from what I understand.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Go you, lady.
Yeah, check out Mary Mercenary on Facebook, and I've shared out the links. I'm stalling here because I'm trying to find this damn bio that I wrote.
Oh, are you? Oh,
yeah. I know where it is. It's in my Gmail. G-Unit. So we were looking around for different things to talk about this week, and we decided to watch the Vixen animated show that they're doing for the CW Seed website, which is set in the same universe as the Flash and Arrow shows.
Yep.
I was thinking it was going to be a little longer than it was, but it's actually just 2 5-minute episodes so far.
Yeah, it's like the Seed is very like they do what was it? Whose Line Is It Anyway? And some other small stuff, but it's all very like short scale stuff. That you could put on there.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't know, what did you think of it from what we saw so far?
Well, I've always been a fan of the WB animation more so than
CW.
Yeah. Well,
Warner Brothers Animation.
Yeah, Warner Brothers Animation. Yeah. But I've always been more of a fan of their animation than say like Marvel's. It's been more consistently. Like,
this is definitely one place where DC and Marvel, I would say, has it thus far in live action movies.
Yeah.
but like in TV and in animation, DC is definitely winning the race. Marvel animation is mediocre at best.
You get lucky. You'll get like a few of them. Like I liked the animation for the Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
I like the animation for what was some of the other ones. There's like a few.
It's not even just the animations though. As far as like everything about Marvel animation, I just don't really like that much. Like they don't seem like they put near the effort into it as DC puts into theirs.
And same with the voice acting too.
Oh God, yes.
And I really have to say, Marvel really lost me when they did the Iron Man one, where it was like crappy 3D animation, and then they all outright decided to go to these like motion comic things. That was crap. And then like occasionally they'll have these really shitty CGI animations that pop up on like Netflix, and it's bad. Like their animation, or they'll do anime, but in like that's
which
a really
of course have no fucks about.
It's not been good. It hasn't been good for like I would say well over 5 years. Their animation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know. Like they just, like I said, they just don't seem to put nearly the effort forth. Like they don't really care about it. It seems most of theirs is like a lot of it's kid centric.
Yeah.
A lot of it is like voice acting is okay.
I think the Hulk versus Thor and Wolverine. Thor was
Planet
the better
Hulk was
one.
good.
Planet Hulk. Doctor Strange.
Iron Man's terrible.
Iron Man was
Extremis is worse.
Yeah. The Avengers one felt like TV animation more so than like actually
Ultimate Avengers. Yeah.
I like the kid one.
That was
that was very also kid centric too.
All the animation they've done for TV, like the Earth's Mightiest Heroes Avengers cartoon and the Hulk and the Agents of Smash, it's very, very kid-friendly, very kid-centric.
The Spider-Man is...
Terrible Spider-Man. Oh, God, that Spider-Man show's, like, it's literally unwatchable.
Yeah.
Like, I almost feel that way about Hulk. If I didn't love Hulk so much, I probably couldn't get through the Hulk and Agents of Smash. Like, I like a lot of
they're doing the new Guardians of the Galaxy one, too.
Yeah.
And the animation looks good. And Will Friedle does the voice of Star-Lord.
Yeah.
Which he's always, really good voice actor. But at the same time, it is very, like, kid-centric-y kind of. So...
Well, I mean, I don't know. DC has always taken their animation very seriously when it comes to, like, when it started back when doing Batman the Animated Series and doing Superman and Justice League and all the Bruce Timm, the Timverse. Like that stuff, and Justice League, which is still one of the best cartoons. It is maybe the best superhero cartoon there's been. I mean, you could argue for Batman, but I really would say Justice League Unlimited are better, in my opinion.
I would say if we had to rank it, I would go Justice League, Batman the Animated, Justice League Unlimited, and then Batman Beyond.
Yeah. And then there was, of course, the Superman animated series, which didn't run for very long, unfortunately, but it was a good show.
It was a good show, but it was hard to transition from the Batman the Animated because Batman the Animated was really dark.
Dark, very dark.
Like, it was, it bordered on that for kids. And Superman wasn't. It was still that type of that same animation, but it wasn't as dark. And I think it was really hard for people to transition.
Then you have stuff like Batman Brave and the Bold, which was like a love letter to Silver Age awesomeness, and still like awesome. Kid centric and then also fan centric at the same time, which was is a tricky line to go.
Young Justice,
which is one of my top 5 probably animated series of all time.
Then you have Teen Titans, and then Teen Titans Go.
Teen Titans Go it's silly and goofy, but they also do a lot of little Easter egg stuff, and they still pay service to the characters.
Yeah. And then, Teen Titans. People love that.
Then there's been the other Batman shows, like The Batman, which was terrible. And then there was the more recent Batman. What the hell was the name of that one? The one with they replaced Brave and the Bold with. Something of the Batman or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. That weird ass CG animation one.
Oh yeah, that's when you said the shitty one, that's the one I think of.
The Batman would be that one that had like the cool figures, but the show's not very good.
It was better than the animated one. The CGI one. Plus, I think they also did the cool movie where it was him taking on Dracula, and he ends up doing the vampire thing.
I don't know. I didn't like the animation of that show at all.
It was interesting. The Joker was very weird. Like, there was things I liked about it and things I didn't like about it. I had a cool thing with, like, Green Lantern and, the Justice League. That was cool. But, yeah, it was hit or miss. most of the time.
But then this all kind of leads back to us talking about the Vixen show, which we watched episode 1 and 2, so about 11 minutes total of show.
Yep.
And I don't know, like I don't know if it's my laptop or the video streaming that they use on the CW Seed website, but it was kind of choppy. Mm-hmm. Like even with everything closed and like, you know, browser optimized everything, it still was pretty choppy.
Yeah.
But the animation looks solid. It's reminiscent. It actually kind of reminds me of that Doctor Strange cartoon animation a little bit. Like it is kind of anime influenced in the character design, I think, like as far as the shaping of the faces and things like that. It could also be Doctor similar animation.
Oh, I was going to say, because there was no anime.
No, well, God, I don't talk about anime, so why would you even think that? I didn't. I said animation. It is similar also to the Young Justice style as far as like the look
also
of it.
Very similar to the new like 52 Justice League movies they just brought out.
Yeah.
Like, War and the Throne of Atlantis.
Yeah.
I like the animation.
Yeah.
And so far, the story seems really interesting. They do have Stephen Amell and Grant Gustin in it as Flash and Green Arrow, which they actually did. Like the very first scene in the cartoon is an interesting action chase sequence between Vixen and Flash and Arrow.
Yeah, and it kind of is out of context with what's going on because it's just sort of an action beat and then the story starts.
Yeah.
I am going to butcher this horribly because it is a sort of a complicated name, but the actress voicing Vixen is Magallan Ichwanke, maybe? I'm not entirely positive on that one. I'm not familiar with her, but most recently she did some time in The Following, and then 4400, CSI Miami, apparently.
A bunch of like
that kind of things. Mostly TV stuff. It looks like. I'm not familiar with her, but she seemed to do a good job.
Actually, I think she was in the that last Die Hard movie.
Yeah, she seemed to do a good job in the 2 episodes that we saw. The other notable voice that I would say is that her adoptive or her foster father bails her out of jail in one of the episodes. And I was like, God, this voice is killing me. I know who this is. And it was Neil Flynn, who you'd probably recognize if you're a Scrubs fan as the janitor.
The janitor, yeah.
Or if you watch The Middle, he's also the dad on that show. So, I mean, everything I've seen so far, which is about 11 minutes, it was really good.
It was really interesting, too, because it seems like with the storyline, how they're going, it's almost more instinctual, the power. Mm-hmm. Which was really cool. But they do a really good job of showcasing the animal choices. Yeah. Like whether it be sound or visuals. I like the one where...
Yeah, it's sort of done in shadow. Yeah, it's done in shadow and then also in sort of like almost a holographic looking image, even though that's probably not what it is. It's more like a psionic image.
Yeah.
Of the animal, and they do a good job of like showcasing her ability to quickly switch between different animals because it's all based on what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Now, Vixen in the comics, like the power set is similar to that, but I believe it's like it's gone back and forth from being the totem is the thing that does it, or the power is within her.
Yeah, this one they're choosing to go with the totem.
Yeah, which is interesting for that world because that hasn't really been a thing so far, unless it's a technological thing, which they have not said it is a technological thing.
No, but this is actually a really good thing too because it's at the right time because they are choosing to this season with like Arrow, they're showcasing magic. Magic is going to be heavy in this season, so this is the right time to bring in Vixen and use the totem because it's a mystical thing,
right?
Which is the right time to be doing that. So
I mean, like I would definitely want to watch more episodes of it. Hopefully, it can find a way of watching it that's not nearly as choppy as the way that we were using, but. It is firmly set in the same world as Arrow and Flash, because they're using all the same things and the same voice actors, everything, or same actors is doing their voices from the shows. Speaking of that, one of the big pieces of news this week, or that just dropped today, actually, I think was there's been an ongoing thing about Diggle from Arrow using an alias or using a costume.
Yeah, getting his own costume.
And there's been a lot of rumor that it would be based on Guardian.
Yep.
Which is one of my favorite DC early characters. It's a character going all the way back to the Silver and Golden Age. and a very Metropolis character, though.
Yeah.
But then the imagery came out today, and I don't know, man. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. It's very Magneto-y.
There's a huge, like, voice of people that do not like it. And I understand why, because now this, I'm hoping in the next few days they either make a statement that this is not entirely of what it's supposed to look like, because there's somebody that I was reading through like comments and stuff that said that there probably was going to be a visor attached to it, because the way the picture goes, it looks very much like the First Class Magneto helmet.
Yes.
The like silver and black Magneto helmet. But the thing that's really weird about it too is you see Diggle's face in it, but it seems very photoshopped in, and it makes the helmet look really tiny.
Yes.
And his face looks weird. And somebody was saying that they probably just did that so you could see his face. But more often than not, it's probably going to have a visor on it, which would make it actually look more like Gangbusters' helmet from like the 80s.
But it's also a very, very Metropolis character. A character actually that was a persona used by Superman when he had lost his memory, and was depowered.
Yeah, or Peacemaker.
Or Peacemaker as well,
different things like that. I could see them using an amalgamation of Gangbuster, Peacemaker, Guardian, these type of characters. There was people complaining about the lack of color, because it's all black. But if you look at what Diggle chooses to wear in the show, it's more often than not he's just in a pair of pants and like a black leather jacket. So I mean, this fits with Diggle was never a very colorful guy.
Yeah, in fact, in the article it says that he would balk at you saying he was wearing a costume. It's more about Oliver telling him he needs to conceal his identity.
Yeah, and that's what it was. So I could see there being a face shield, and I'm basically hoping for better pictures is what I think a lot of people are hoping for. Like better pictures and a more accurate, hoping that there's a visor so that way it looks different. But even with a visor, it just goes from looking like Magneto to Boba Fett's helmet. Yeah. That's the thing. I'm not a fan of this helmet. I don't think it was really well thought out or anything like that. Like the rest of the costume, cool, fine. You go from a more utilitarian, tactical standpoint. He's ex-military. That makes sense. But this helmet is just awful. It's bad. And
yeah, I'm kind of hoping that it's just like a bad Photoshop job, and that the actual thing will end up looking much better than that.
Yeah,
but I mean, if this is what the final thing looks like,
though I will have to say this is kind of something that has not been their strong suit, because man, if you look at the Atom costume, the suit is awesome, but the helmet sucks dick. It is weird.
It's very Exo-Man of War.
It is Exo-Man of War to a T, and when he's flying around in it, there's blue lights in it and stuff.
I would say that by and large, they do a really good job with costume translating on the shows. It's just there have been glaring shit.
Yeah.
I do really dislike the Atom costume. It's not even just the helmet. I just dislike the entire concept of it.
Yeah.
I hate the fact that he's basically looks like fucking Iron Man and Exo-Man of War had his unswift child.
Yeah.
It looks like the drizzling shits. I'm sorry.
I think probably with that though is they were honestly the Atom costume was supposed to be the Beetle costume.
Even then, it doesn't work. I don't know. It doesn't work as well even then, because even that, Ted Kord never wore a costume like that. And if you're going Jaime, then that's completely different.
No, I think they were going for a more updated Ted Kord.
Even looking at that costume, though, it's nothing that would look like a Beetle costume either.
I think it could pass for more of a Beetle costume as far as tech than, it could be Atom and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, either way, it's still very, meh. It's interesting.
If you were going to redo Ray Palmer's look to make it more tech, I would think it would be much more sleek. I would think it would be less like a big, bulky Iron Man-looking suit, and more something that was high-tech body armor and something maybe you could use mech things in there, but very thinner and streamlined, kind of, almost like they did with Ant-Man in the Marvel movies.
Okay, but that's a completely differential though, because for what he's going with, he built that suit with not the intentions of shrinking abilities. It was supposed to be assisted movements and stuff like that.
And then that again, like, I don't really care for that.
Makes sense, because if you look at how the suits are being made these days by actual scientists for assisted movements and stuff like that, that's what they look like.
Yeah, I get that. And, like, if you want to just trying to make it, like, so more reality-based, that, okay, that's fine. But then, like, it goes out of the realm of superhero and more into, like, it's more like sci-fi shit. And, like, I don't know, like, you know me, I'm a superhero. I want my people to look like superheroes. Even Iron Man is less bulky looking than that when they do him, in the movies and shit. Like, I don't know, it looks very unwieldy, and it looks nothing like if you showed me that and you didn't tell me what it was, there's no way in a million years I would guess it was the Atom.
Oh,
and you could probably say that to any comic fan. And even if it was supposed to originally be Ted Cord and, like, it was going to be a more Beetle thing, it would make sense that it wouldn't be a shrinking suit or anything like that. Yeah. But the moment that you knew you couldn't use Ted Cord, that's when you need to rethink what the fuck you're doing.
Well, I think the problem was they were already so far along before, like...
You would think, though, that logically they would get that permission first before making that much of a story.
It's not necessarily like it was permission. It's more like, from what I understand, the movie... people have the right to come in at any time and basically be like, we're yanking that character out. That's what happened to Deadshot. That's what happened with the whole Harley Quinn thing. These were characters they were going to use, and in fact, Deadshot was a pretty main, like,
so they already used Deadshot.
They used Deadshot, and, like, they were reoccurring, but because of Suicide Squad and other things, they came in and were like, you need to stop.
See, I would think because this stuff happened before they started doing, like, before they had Adam in the show, that they would be like, okay, we want to use, like, this guy. Can we do this? Is this something that you're going to pull away from us,
And, I mean...
It's possible that they did this also, but then, like I say, like, yeah, it's late in the process, but you can tweak it a little bit more than they did, because there's really no resemblance between this Ray Palmer and the Ray Palmer of the DC Universe.
Yeah.
Not in look, not in stature, not in backstory, nothing. He's basically Ray Palmer in name only.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It was like everything.
That's kind of lame.
But, I mean, that's what they got to go with, dude. Like, you got to understand. If they're
make a new character. Say fuck it and make a new character.
Not if you're so far into the season. Like,
could have called him Steve Dixon and it'd been the same thing.
If you've already recorded so much that all you really can do is go back in and, like, basically change the name. And that
doesn't hold up though, because they've done this. If that's all that's all they did. If they've gone in and done that, they could have changed it to any name and it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah. They could have just modeled it after Ted Cord and called him something else.
Yeah, but I think they wanted
instead of using Ray Palmer, which is a very interesting character on its own.
Yeah, but I think they wanted to actually it be a known character, not a made-up character.
Find something closer to what you're doing then, and instead of basically just using the name and nothing else from the character. Yeah. Like the shrinking they'll use eventually, apparently.
Oh yeah,
it just, I don't know, just nothing about it is Ray Palmer.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point.
Yeah, but it is very much like the suit was different, and hopefully they show better pictures. I mean, because the new Arrow suit looks awesome.
And everything else that they've translated has worked out well, except for this and this weird-looking Diggle suit. Like, what they did with Firestorm, it's very minimalist, but it still captures the, if you show me the thing, I'm going to take one look at that harness piece and tell you that's Firestorm.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be something identifiable, about the character. They didn't even use the nucleus symbol.
Yeah.
Like, they could have stuck that on the front of that mech suit instead of that A. Like, that would have made a hell of a lot more fucking sense and not looked as stupid,
Yeah, but again, that the nucleus suit goes to the shrinking. And
no, I mean, like,
not to that point.
He was calling himself Adam before the shrinking. Yeah, it stands for something I know, but then if you're calling yourself Adam, it's not a stretch to be like, okay, I'll just use the nucleus symbol because it makes sense. It's an atomic symbol.
Yeah. It's also, too, one of those, it was like the first beginning, so we might eventually see the atom, like the nucleus symbol put on there. It's just,
It would look a hell of a lot better. Yeah. And they need to redesign the helmet.
Yeah, the helmet is very... is my least favorite part of it.
Even if they went to the point of using like the more the Atomica look, where it has the goggles and stuff instead of it being like a full helmet, it could be a helmet, or modded out the helmet to make it look more of a goggle look to it and stuff. It just it looks like Exo Man of War and Iron Man had a crappy baby. Like,
It's true.
It's one of the few like kind of stumbles I feel like they've had, and even the characterization of Ray Palmer is really nothing like he is in the books. Like, and I love Brandon Routh, and like what I've seen of it, I love his character. I like it. I love the character they've created. It's just not Ray Palmer. Yeah,
But maybe it's that universe's Ray Palmer.
Yeah. But, I mean, we saw a few weeks ago the images of what Jay Garrick's costume is going to look like, the Golden Age Flash, or the alternate Earth Flash in this story, which it is an alternate Earth Flash, really, when it comes down to the DC continuity, too, because he's an Earth 2 character. And it looks like a beautiful translation of the original. Yeah. Like, it's like, if you want to translate that kind of, old school 40s style costume into, a modern thing, but still keep what's quintessential old school 40s about it, they've done that perfectly. Yeah. It looks absolutely perfect and gorgeous. So we'll see what they do. Even when they did the Trickster, when they had the episode with the Trickster, they used that old Trickster footage from the Flash series, which was awesome. And then their updated Trickster looked really cool too. It was kind of like it looked like an evolutionary kind of update of the character.
The new Trickster?
Yeah.
Comics?
I mean, they did a fine job of that,
Basically what they did.
Yeah. So there's been some casting news this week.
Oh yeah, tons of casting news.
We'll go to Dave for his casting news segment, because that's kind of your specialty.
So we'll start with Supergirl. They actually got a couple new casting. They recruited, and you know who his name is for the
Glenn Morshower.
Yeah, Glenn Morshower, to play General Sam Lane, which will be.
Glenn Morshower is a veteran character actor who's done time on CSI. He's been in a few Marvel things as low-level characters. He's usually he's one of those guys who plays a lot of sheriffs, or generals. So he's definitely kind of got that surly, kind of redhead buzz cut. He's also been heavily in a lot of different Star Trek iterations too, and smaller roles. We actually were at he was at Lexington, I think, when we were there. Yeah, this past time, and we went right past his booth, and I actually considered stopping because I am a fan of his. But yeah, this would be a nice. He's a very good character actor, so it'll be nice to see him in that world. Yeah.
The other piece of interesting casting for that is they casted Red Tornado. But from what they're saying, though, the actor who I can't remember what his name is. We had it up a second ago. But he will be not only playing Red Tornado, but he will be playing Tio Moro.
Which traditionally in the comics, he's not. The design of Arrow is not. Red Arrow is not. I mean, Red Tornado is not based on Tio Moro. Yeah. But he is the man who created him, Animazo. Yeah. But yeah, they're basically doing, it seems, the sort of android based on the Maker kind of story.
Which is an interesting way to go about it. Yeah. It gives you, as an actor, fun because you get to be the hero and the villain, Yeah. You get to play that interesting bit of duality. Yeah. Go down. It was right there.
Let's see.
Yes, there it is.
Ido Goldberg.
Yep.
I'm not familiar with him.
I can't say I'm
He's a swarthy-looking fellow.
Yeah. He'll be an interesting character. But that's that goes along with, again, the casting that they did for Superwoman, which was Lucy Lane, which is Channing Tatum's wife. Which will be interesting. I think they had showed some pictures.
You think he's Channing all over Tatum?
Well, they have a couple kids, so I'm pretty sure he did. Now, as far as on the Marvel end, there was a bunch of interesting casting and news. Sons of Anarchy alumni Theo Rossi was actually cast for the Luke Cage role. He will be playing, let me see.
The Rossi.
Yeah. All right, so where is he? Okay. He will be playing as Victor Shades Alvarez. In the comic books, Shades and Cage debuted together in the 1972 Cage Hero for Hire #1. Both were part of the group of mates who gained superpowers based off experiments done to them while in prison. But basically, he becomes the villain, whereas Cage became the hero.
It'd be interesting to see how closely they stick to his traditional origin story.
Oh, the prison stuff. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that could be interesting. The other piece of information, casting wise, is they actually casted a different characters for the Luke Cage. They casted Misty Knight.
Yes, who's about to get an action figure in the Marvel Legends line.
Yes. She was cast an actress I've never seen before, but she's been in different things. She's just nothing I've ever seen.
Right.
She's been cast. Let me see if I can find that. More Metal Batman. Yeah.
The joys of the smartphone.
Oh, yes. Okay. There it is.
Do you know the guy who they've cast as Luke Cage?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with him.
The guy they cast, he was in, this gentleman right here was in...
Mike Coulter is his name?
Yeah. He was in the Halo movie they made.
Ah, okay.
And he's been in a few other things. I'm trying to remember. Okay. So the actress's name is Simone Missick.
Okay.
She's been in a few different things, none of which I know about. But she got cast as Misty Knight, which will be interesting because Misty Knight has the robotic arm, has heavy martial arts skills, is pretty much associated with helping Luke, but also dated Danny Rand, Iron Fist. So
has there been any talk that they were going to use Danny in the show?
What?
In the Luke Cage show?
No, not so far, because he's getting his own show. So they don't know what's going to happen. Interesting point of news that came out is Rosario Dawson will be reprising her role as Claire in not only the Jessica Jones show, but is the Luke Cage show too. And what I would imagine, and I would imagine would probably be in the Iron Fist show too. She will be the one connecting point as far as the Defenders.
I still haven't watched Daredevil.
You need to get on that, sir.
I keep telling myself to watch it, and for some reason I just can't get to it.
Yeah, you're like that though. You kind of like if there's a lot of like you need to watch this, you're like, I'll get to it.
That is very true. That is the thing about me. The more that people tell me I should watch something, the less I want to watch it. I don't know why that is, but I guess it's the like rebel thing in me in a way. Like it's like the more someone
you don't want to do it because it's the thing.
That
it's like want to like
the more people like something and it gets like the mainstream attention and stuff. The less I
mean, it's the same thing with Arrow. You've never watched.
I didn't. Well, the thing about Arrow is what I watched of it I didn't like.
Yeah, but I mean, even after we went back and stuff, it was very much like a thing that you didn't like. I was that way about Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I still say the first season sucks donkey dick like there's no tomorrow. It wasn't until like maybe the last quarter of the season that it got good. And that was because they finally decided, hey, let's actually stick with like...
I liked it, but I don't disagree with what you're saying. Like, I mean, I liked it, but it is like the last part of the season is where it really starts to be great.
Because like, it finally figures out what it wants to do.
Yeah, the first part's watchable, but the end of it is where it gets great, and then season 2 is fucking awesome.
Because they were like, we're going to have our like thing kind of be like a standalone over here, and then they realized, that's not going to work. So we need to do that. Oh, they also did cast Cottonmouth, who I'm pretty sure is a villain. I didn't read a lot of Luke Cage. Wasn't really a character I liked. Interesting, oh wow.
I'm sorry. I was just smacked with a dead fish and reading the headline. Vin Diesel says he'll be back for third XXX movie because fuck, someone out there really wants to see that shit.
Saying you'll be back for it and it actually coming out, two very different things. So we'll just go with that. So a lot of casting news as far as like the Netflix shows, which they've also talked about doing more Netflix shows. They just showcased some of the arsenal for John Barenthal's Punisher. And Netflix just dropped a big announcement here recently, like in the past couple days, that they will actually be losing over 1,000 of their movies because of a deal that expires with Epix, and they are not renewing it. Which these were all movies, like you wanted to see all the big movies, if you have a Hulu membership, you'll be seeing them because Hulu signed with Epix. Apparently, Netflix has decided they want to focus more on their own content. Which is a big gamble. It's a big gamble.
I get that. And then, like, I would think that Netflix, I don't know, Netflix doesn't learn lessons well to me, because it doesn't seem that they've learned the lesson well when they decided that they made that decision a few years ago. We're going to split off the streaming service and the DVD service into two separate companies, and that was a miserable, horrible, fucking, like, customer-killing failure that never actually saw fruition because of what happened. Then they switched it to, well, we're going to split them off, but, like, we're split them off at, like, plan-level costs instead of it being a completely different fucking service that you have to subscribe to.
Yeah.
Then they also fucking, I mean, like, I get that they want to concentrate on that, and that's great because they do have some really interesting content. But by and large, what people are paying for is their movies.
Yeah. I read a lot of comments on this, and a lot of people were pissed off because that's what they said. They were like, look, you have a few good things, but not all this content that you're putting out is good.
Yeah.
And it's not diverse. To be honest, a lot of what they're putting out is either comedies or dramas.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody was commenting, if they started putting out more horror, more sci-fi, more fantasy, action, stuff like that, they would be more like, okay, cool. But I'd say about 75% of it's dramas or comedies.
This would be tantamount to HBO doing this. Like, HBO saying, we're not going to show movies anymore. We're just going to do all original series.
Yeah.
Yeah, your subscriber rates would literally plummet.
Yeah.
And though I don't know, like, what the cancellation rate or what they, like, that thing is going to be with Netflix if this happens. And also, they've talked about this before, and at the last minute changed their mind. Because, like, this happened when they lost their deal with Starz, where they were like, well, we just won't show these movies or whatever. And then people were like, we'll just, cancel our subscription. And they were like, oh, fuck, and that's where the Epix deal came from.
Yeah. And this is the thing, though, because, like, they made the mistake of, like, in the article, they were saying, well, most of these movies are being played on cable anyways. And it's like, yeah, but that's the
most people are getting rid of cable because of Netflix.
Yeah, because, like, I don't choose to ever get Time Warner, cable, digital, like, no Dish, none of that stuff, because I have both a Netflix and a Hulu membership, and that's cheaper. Having both of those is still cheaper than having a basic cable package.
And the thing is, like, with Hulu, I love Hulu Plus. It's awesome, and you can get a lot of stuff on there. The only problem with it is, even though you're paying for it, you still get commercials, and that really annoys me.
Yeah.
Like,
it is very,
it makes me less apt to watch things on there. Like, I'll watch certain things on Hulu. Like, we laugh about this all the time, but I basically use Hulu for new movie trailers, I swear.
Yeah.
Because, like, they get the movie trailers quick.
I used Hulu for during the week. I would watch my Flash and my Arrow and all that.
I've used it for that. I use it to watch, like, Red Dwarf and shit because it's not on Netflix anymore. Yeah. But, like, watching movies on there, it is a very rare thing that I watch a movie on Hulu.
Yeah. I'll watch shows.
There's been a few here and there, but
like
mostly,
I watch Ridiculousness.
Mostly shows, and mostly, like, if I absolutely can't find it anywhere else, I might use, like, Hulu or, like, Popcorn Flicks or some other streaming service like that. Yeah. Or Crackle. Like, Crackle is a good free one. Like, Crackle is free, and then it's got commercials, but you're not paying for it. And that's the thing that pisses me off about Hulu Plus. It's like, I'm paying $8 a month. I don't want to watch fucking commercials.
Or at least just, like, once.
Yeah, once or something. Like, okay, it's different if it's TV shows, but really should never happen in a movie. Like, if it's the TV shows, okay, I can stomach watching 2 commercials per show, whatever. Yeah. But if it's a movie, fuck you, don't show me a commercial. I'm not going to watch movies then.
Yeah.
So that is not going to be a substitute for me.
Yeah, and then, so now I think Netflix has kind of screwed themselves, though, with that, because now they can't go back to Epix and be like, oh, hey, and they're going to be like, no, we signed with Hulu.
Yeah.
So.
And honestly, I don't see me keeping a subscription if they really goes down that far. Like, if they lose a lot of, like, if they lose the new movie access and they lose a lot of their movie catalog, I don't see me keeping it.
Yeah. I mean, that sucks because, like, a lot of these
I like a lot of their original content. Like, I mean, I haven't watched a huge amount of it, but I've watched BoJack Horseman, and I've watched
I watched Hemlock Grove.
You watch Hemlock Grove, and I've been meaning to get to it, but I haven't. But, like, And then the Daredevil thing's been huge or whatever. And
there's a lot of people that like the Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, I couldn't even get through one episode of that.
There's the Sense8 thing, which
I've heard is absolutely fucking horrible,
but somehow got a second season.
There's a comedy that I'd watched the entire season of on there that has Lily Tomlin and Jane Fonda, and Martin Sheen and Sam Waterston.
And it had Arrested Development. They brought back Arrested Development.
Yeah, I couldn't give a shit about that show.
But I mean, there are people that were
yeah, I know people love that show. I don't know why. It's one of those shows again where like I watched it and I didn't even crack a smile, let alone laugh.
I mean,
it's like Big Bang Theory.
There was also the one show that we were talking about watching, which was the one where anybody under the age of 22, the Jeanette McCurdy
show, like they have a lot of stuff that looks very interesting, but like I don't know, that's not what most people subscribe for.
I think the reason they think they could do this is because Netflix's biggest draw is actually not their movies, though.
It's the TV series.
It's the binge watching of TV series, and they think because they are creating more show content that stuff that people can binge watch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but the problem is the stuff that we're binge watching is stuff that is already we've watched.
Yeah.
And it's already set. Like people know what it is. They know how good it is.
Binge watching Criminal Minds or something, or binge watching old Star Trek. I'm not binge watching their shows. Now, I will say that the show that I was talking about, the one that with Lily Tomlin, who for some fucking reason I can't remember the name of right now. It's
the one where their husbands
Frankie and Grace. That's the name of it. I did binge watch that. I watched one episode and was like, "Oh fuck, I'm hooked," and I watched all 13 in one day.
I binge watched Daredevil and Hemlock Grove.
Yeah.
Like I watched them from start of season to the end, and it was awesome. And that is one of the greatest assets and stuff like that. But there are a lot of like a good portion of the people that do it also for the movies too. And it's like to get rid of.
I pass up a lot of theater movies because I'm like, just wait till it gets on Netflix.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's also a lot of like B movies that were like it's coming like straight to DVDs that we know will hit Netflix too
the same week.
That we can be like, yes, that's gonna be awesome.
I don't have to blow $10 on a DVD because I've got Netflix. Like I used to be a huge DVD collector. Like like I still have a big DVD collection, but I don't buy them very much anymore because I have Netflix.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that we choose to watch will hit Netflix.
And I hate to say it, but I'll probably end up, like, if this happens, I'll probably end up canceling it and go back to buying DVDs,
Oh, so sad news for Civil War fans. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the Hulk scenes, Mark Ruffalo stuff, has been cut from Civil War.
Been ruffled.
Yep. And the reason why, and this is what it's been stated, is because apparently his return is too big for the film. They feel that bringing Hulk into this might basically overshadow everything else, which I can understand.
Then give him a fucking movie. Give him his own goddamn movie then. Like, I know that they have problems with that.
This may do it, because there's also, this is the other thing too. So here recently, there was a separation. There was a big shakeup at Marvel. Marvel Studios is no longer connected with Marvel Entertainment. The head of Disney basically cut that cord, that little umbilical cord, because Marvel has always been known to be very, what's the word I want to use? Tight, pinching, naysaying fucks. And apparently it was driving head of the studios, Kevin Feige, to the point where he was going to quit. Yeah. He was basically just going to be like, I'm done.
And he's the guy you can thank for most of the current Marvel universe as far as movie-wise.
And hearing that, Disney came in and basically said, okay, so here's what we're going to do. And they've already been doing this with a lot of the other ones, Pixar, Lucasfilms, stuff like that. They've been basically consolidating these film companies and basically saying, here's what's going to happen. All those film studios are their own things, and they answer directly to the Disney head office.
Yeah, and I know I'm about to commit some nerd blasphemy, but the best thing that they could ever do is take Star Wars away from George Lucas so they can actually get somebody in there who knows the right dialogue.
And you know what? That's actually not that from the understandable. That is not blasphemy. because
I mean, I don't fucking like Star Wars. You know I don't.
Yeah,
like I like the world, the concept. I love the concept of it.
And that's the thing.
The world is awesome. And if you look at the movies on a purely technical basis, like the effects are fantastic. The script in every single one of them fucking sucks. The dialogue is shit, and there's plot holes. Unbelievable fucking plot holes.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of the casting is horrible.
And that's the thing.
And racist.
Yeah. And that's what, now will, be changed because you have different directors and different things.
I said when people were like, J.J. Abrams, you can't do Star Wars and Star Trek. And I'm like, yeah, but he did good things for Star Trek, and he'll do even better things for Star Wars because he actually really loves Star Wars. And he can fucking find someone who can write dialogue.
Yeah. And that's what we're excited about. But because there was that separation of Marvel Studios and Marvel Entertainment now, they have a lot more leeway to make different choices. So things that we've been hoping for, say a Hulk solo movie, might actually get made. Because whereas the main thing keeping it down might have been Marvel Entertainment saying it didn't work.
Part of what was keeping it down was the Universal thing, because Universal is the one who did the other Hulk movies, and it's a rights thing again. But they will have an easier time getting the rights back to that than they have with Fantastic Four or that they have with Spider-Man.
Oh, yeah. So, but it is definitely something that it's more... They can be done now.
But I feel like, and I was one of the main detractors from Ruffalo before the Avengers movies, but honestly... he's the best combination that we've had. I love Ed Norton, the Ed Norton Hulk, very much, and I think he was a good Bruce for that time period.
Yeah.
But overall, as a Bruce and a Hulk, Ruffalo is probably the best that we've seen. I think he makes the most sense. He's the most Banner of the comics. He comes off the most like a Banner how I see him, or how he's been traditionally written until more recently.
Yeah.
Than any of the other, Eric Bana. Not so much.
Eric Bana, not so much. For me, the best is Norton.
I love Ed Norton. I'm not saying.
Yeah.
I just said
I think
love
his
Ed
Hulk
Norton.
Looks better,
and his Hulk looks cooler.
Yeah.
But I think that Ruffalo gets Banner. I think that he gets Banner especially that was very well evidenced in the new movie.
Yeah.
In the new Avengers movie, the second Avengers movie, they got Hulk almost perfectly in that.
Yeah.
And I think that if they did the solo Hulk movie now, it would be better than they've ever done before.
Yeah.
And I think that Ruffalo's strong enough to carry it.
There's that, and there's always the hope of a She-Hulk.
Yes, God.
A Doc Samson.
Fuck yeah.
Different Rick Jones.
Yeah.
Different characters that you can bring up.
Really Abomination.
Yeah, bring back Tim Roth.
Which they've talked about. Yeah,
he was supposed to. You could do it again. You could have him come back. Yeah. You could go leader. You could do all kinds of stuff. It would be interesting to see what Betty they brought back, or if they would just go with a completely new Betty.
I don't know. I mean, Liv Tyler was fine.
Because they're bringing back Thunderbolt.
Yeah, and he's fucking fantastic. Yeah. Actually, I had no problem with Ethan Thunderbolt, though, because it was
Sam Shepard.
It was Sam Shepard.
Sam Shepard's a fucking G.
And, no, not Sam Shepard, the other Sam. God damn it. Sam, because Sam Shepard is the other dude. There's three Sams that I always... It's Sam Shepard, Sam Waterston, and Sam something else, and I always get them fucking confused. And this is driving me nuts.
Wade Garrett.
Yeah.
Wade Garrett and fucking Roadhouse.
But yeah, I think now would be the best time to do.
But it's the story. That's the
Sam Elliott.
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Sam Elliott, fucking fantastic Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
William Hurt, fucking fantastic. He was. They were both perfect. I mean, they both really got it.
Yeah.
So
I think it would be interesting because I know people want Planet Hulk, but I don't think
it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It doesn't make any sense for it to happen right now.
You need a more grounded Hulk movie as far as it's still, because this is the thing. If you're going to go with Ruffalo and you're going to do the solo, you don't need to do an Origins because he's already been. We all know the Origins to death. But you need to do something. You need to do a saving grace here on Earth movie.
Yeah.
You need to give him something here. And
plus, again, it's hard to do. It's hard to do Planet Hulk without having the Illuminati.
The Illuminati, Beta Ray Bill.
Yeah, all those characters involved. Silver Surfer, I mean, it's hard to do that.
Yeah, and it breeds into the World War stuff.
I mean, they introduced the Korrigan guys in Thor, the second Thor movie, so that race exists and stuff, but, like, I don't know, like, the reason that Hulk leaves is, like, because of the Illuminati and heavily because of Namor and Reed Richards and fucking Professor Xavier and stuff, and all those characters are characters you can't use right now except for Namor. And they haven't introduced Namor yet.
Yeah. So it is very difficult. I feel there are plenty of other stories.
My dream movie for Marvel, and I know they won't do, is an Invaders movie.
Oh, God.
Because of how amazing the first Cap movie is. You want to bring Namor in? Go back and fucking make me an Invaders movie. Because you've got Cap, you've got Namor, you've got original Human Torch. That's a way of using Human Torch that doesn't involve Fantastic Four.
Yep, the android.
You got the android Human Torch. You've got fucking Miss America and shit. Like, all those really interesting fucking characters from that time period. You could even use Bucky and shit. Like,
it would just
would be really cool.
It'd be really cool, but it'd be difficult because of the time.
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't do it because of the way that they did Cap, but just seeing Cap, the first Cap movie, and as perfect as it was, let Joe Johnston make it, because he fucking, oh my God, he killed the first movie.
I think what they should do is, I think they need to do a Hulk movie solo with Ruffalo introducing Rick Jones.
Yes.
And they need to go back to the Leader, because the Leader in Abomination, that's something they left off.
The Leader is the Hulk's real nemesis.
Yeah.
He's his true nemesis.
He's the brains, Abomination is the muscle. Those two put together always gave Hulk his greatest challenge.
Yeah, and there's always that, like, it's the same thing with, like, Superman and Lex Luthor. Like, who's Superman's real nemesis? Is it Lex Luthor, or is it, Brainiac or something like that? And it's like, Lex Luthor is a person, and it's the same thing with Hulk. It's like, the argument is either that the Hulk's main bad guy is not Abomination, but the Leader, or is it Thunderbolt Ross? And it's Thunderbolt Ross into the respect that, like, he's this human nemesis, but as far as his super villain nemesis, it's just the Leader. It's the Leader.
Yeah. And it's always, it's always been that way. So I think that it works for the story they're going, because you can bring Tim Roth back, you can bring the guy who played the Leader back, and it's beautiful because it plays on that whole I'm the monster, I don't want to let it out, it can't, that type of thing, which they've already done, and it gives you something that he has to fight for, because the Leader will use his DNA to bring more about.
Absolutely.
And then you see that brings in that visual of Hulk taking on a horde of, like, mini, mutated versions.
And it's not,
and you can bring in Doc Samson.
You don't have to do an origin story on Leader, because they already did it in the Ruffalo movie. Like,
you mean the Norton?
Yeah, in the Norton movie, like, it's already been done.
Same with,
and it's not like they don't use that movie as continuity, because they obviously do.
Because they're bringing back
because they use Thunderbolt, and not only that, but they talk about it.
And they had Stark in it.
Yeah, they talk about it as if it is canon. And it is canon. Like, even it's just a casting change. It's like it is considered to be canon.
Yeah.
So you can easily bring in Tim Blake Nelson as Leader and use that origin story that they did in the Hulk movie. He was becoming Leader at the end of that movie.
Yeah. And I think it gives you a beautiful opportunity to bring in support characters, Rick Jones, Doc Samson, Jennifer Walters. You could bring in She-Hulk. Actually, I think that would be the greatest time to bring in Rick and his cousin. Yeah. Like, Samson is kind of a stretch because his power is really weird.
Yeah.
But I feel like his cousin and Rick, not necessarily don't give Rick a bomb, because that's way too early, but bring in Rick, because Rick is an important
character in the Hulk universe. And then also he ties in, if you want to, later on, what they're doing, the Galactic stuff, if you want to use Captain Marvel, he's a part of that origin too.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like, that would be a beautiful...
Captain Marvel, like, it's like Donald Blake to Thor. It's like they didn't use the Donald Blake Thor, in the movies, but they acknowledged it.
Yep.
Like, they, get a nod to it. And when you look at Captain Marvel, Captain Marvel was very similar. It was like he was the Earth avatar of the Rick Jones was his Earth avatar. Like, using the Negabands together, brought Marvel into this universe.
Yeah. So, I mean, that would be our hopes, for that. And it seems a lot more possible because, there's Kevin Feige is now having to answer to Disney, not, Marvel Entertainment.
Yeah.
Some other news.
No, I'm going to talk about this shit.
Ezra Miller.
No fucks.
Who, as you all know, was casted as the movie Flash.
As we all don't care.
Yeah, whatever.
Can I have some of your weird Amish Funyuns?
Yes, you can have some of my weird Amish Funyuns. They're Dutch.
Dutch Funyuns.
The Dutch Funyuns.
Okay, my bad. Dutch Funyuns.
You can have my Dutch Funyuns.
They're called onions.
Onions. They're fucking delicious. Confirmed that he is supposed to be in Batman v Superman.
Yeah. Fuck.
Which, the way things are going, I imagine we'll see him as Barry, not as the Flash.
Yeah.
I think they're going to hold off on that, for...
And then Grant Gustin can sit back and laugh because his Flash will be infinitely better.
Yes, especially after the news we heard about the costume.
Yep.
Which apparently the Flash costume might be something of a post-apocalyptic look, is what they're saying. I don't really understand that, but whatever.
Seems to mean post not giving a fuck over here.
Now, back to the DC animation we had been talking about earlier. There's a rumor going around. There's a poster that was seen about a possible new Justice League animated TV series.
Yeah. Apparently there's a picture taken inside of Cartoon Network's offices that showed a lot of posters for upcoming shows.
Yep.
And every poster that was shown was for a show that is coming soon, or already is out.
Tyson Mysteries,
or is already out. Which, yeah,
like a new Scooby-Doo, a bunch of different things.
Banicula, which is a series of books I read as a kid.
Yeah,
which they're adapting into a series, which is actually kind of cool, and I hope they stick close to it because it was actually a really fun book series.
Yeah,
and it's some kind of a fond thing for my childhood, so I actually probably will watch that.
Yeah,
but the Odd Man Out poster was a JLA poster.
Yeah.
And it was like silhouettes of heroes.
Yeah, it was the last one, and it was something that kind of just like snuck in there, Which right now they're lacking in that. I mean,
as far as DC animation goes,
there is a new Tom and Jerry, a new Rabbit.
Yeah, Wascally. It's
Wascally Rabbit.
Bugs Bunny.
New Scooby-Doo, and what they have referred to as Mike Tyson Mysteries.
Yeah, I've done Adult Swim already, actually.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But yes, the last one, and I'll see if I can actually zoom in on this picture, is a JLA poster, which is a blue background, red JLA lettering, and then white silhouettes of superhero characters. So...
And then mostly, it's hard to tell because it's a very small picture and I haven't seen anybody get a blown-up version of it yet.
Yeah. Okay, so the poster appears to show Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Martian Manhunter, an unidentifiable female, Firestorm, most likely... Firestone. Tires, yay. Most likely a Green Lantern or Flash, another female, a Hawk person down at the bottom, and 5 cutout partial characters. It looks like they're going with a very heavy lineup, which...
This may tie in with the figures that we saw the prototypes of at Toy Fair.
And the shape looks very Timverse. Yes.
Please, God.
Yeah. So,
Sweet Lord, this is Todd. Please let it be Timverse.
Oh, God, Timverse would be great. Or at least something reminiscent of Timverse, Okay, so we had talked about this earlier when we saw this news. Let's go with the lineup.
You gotta have the big 7.
Yeah.
I think that's what Grant Morrison did extremely well when he came back to Justice League in the late 90s. Is Justice League at that before then had been dying. It had been a also run book with B-listers.
Yeah.
They had tried to bring in all these new kind of B-list characters. And it kind of turned the book into who gives a shit.
Yeah.
But the thing that makes Justice League work is that you got to use the big guys.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah.
And Justice League Unlimited worked really well because it used the big guys, but it also used a lot of B-list characters as well.
Yeah.
And so
they were the rotating.
You got to give me some aspect of the big 7 has got to be in there. I always feel like Superman has to be there. I always feel like Wonder Woman has to be there.
Yeah.
Batman, you don't necessarily have to use. Green Arrow, I would always use. If you're not going to use Batman, you have to bring Ollie in.
Yeah, you got to have one of the two. You got to have somebody who's kind of tech savvy as far as
have a
using gadgets.
Whether it be Flash or whether it be Jesse Quick or something like that.
Impulse,
yeah. You should definitely be using a speedster. There always needs to be
There needs to be a speedster and a lantern.
So whether it be John or whether it be Kyle, I prefer Hal or Kyle, obviously. Yeah. I don't know. Using a Hawk person is good. I would probably prefer Hawk Girl because putting Carter on the team, he's very volatile.
Yeah,
and like he
fits more at JSA than he does at JLA. He's very confrontational with the other people. Yeah. Now, I don't know. If you don't want to use Superman, you got to put somebody in there to me that's like equally powerful. Yeah. I think so. Use Captain Marvel. Yeah. I think Marvel's a good one, and I think you need Aquaman. I think Aquaman has to be in it. Yes. Preferably not the hook-handed version. It's been done. It's been done. Yeah. But yeah, you need him. I don't think. I know. New 52s is put him in there. I don't think Cyborg is needed. I don't ever think Cyborg. If you listen to the Todd Files, the first episode we did I did with Victor, we talk about Cyborg a lot. Yeah. And Victor is not like Cyborg either. I have never met anybody who's a Cyborg fan, to be honest. Like, he's a boring character. Yeah. Now, power-wise, he has some interesting... He's a cyborg. Yeah, he has some interesting things. If you go with, like, the new version of him, it's all based around, like, apocalyptic technology. Yeah, which is interesting. It's more interesting than the traditional version. I'll grant that, yes. But the problem is, for some reason, when they want to put Cyborg in, they immediately want to take out Martian Manhunter. Yeah. Which I disagree with heavily. Yeah, because Martian Manhunter... This is not a trade-off. Yeah, this is not a trade-off. Martian Manhunter, for one, has an amazing skill set. And two... If Superman's not there, I feel you definitely have to have Martian Manhunter in the more classic sense because he is your conscience. He's your moral compass. Like, you need a moral compass kind of character. You need, like, a conscience. You need somebody like that. And, like, when they did it in Justice League Animated, especially when they went to Justice League Unlimited and they stopped using Superman as much, John is kind of the heart of the team. Yeah. And then, like, you have Ollie, who's kind of like the realist and pragmatist of the team. Yeah. And you need those sort of archetypal things. You need, like, the mother of the team, the strong female character, and you need, the guy who's the powerhouse, and you need that kind of, you need the speedster, you need the aquatic guy, that kind of a thing. You need those sort of archetypal things. And I don't know, in order for, in today's culture, especially like with kids and their attention spans and stuff, you need the big seven type characters to keep them interested. Yeah. And if you want to put in, some lower tier characters, then do that, but do that as the secondary teammates and not as the lead of the team, Yeah. So, I definitely feel as far as like, once you're out of the big seven, who do you look at? Firestorm, whether it be male or female, is definitely a big enough heavy hitter to be on the team. Yeah. I know in Unlimited they use Captain Atom. Mm-hmm. I feel Firestorm has a little bit more stuff he can bring to the table than Captain Atom. So that should be interesting. Again, I agree. Hawk Girl more so than Hawk Man. Mm-hmm. She seems more team oriented. Yeah, Carter's never been a team player. Yeah. And if he's in there, it causes leader struggles because Carter is kind of a natural leader. Yeah. And to put him in as a teammate, it doesn't work as well. Yeah, no. Even when he's in Justice Society, he's generally taking a leadership position. In fact, like in the later 2000s Justice League book, he's the reason they split off from just one team of JSA to JSA and JSA All-Stars. Yeah. So... But yeah, it'll be interesting, and I'd be happy to see it. Hopefully it'll be not 52-ish. I mean, 52 is kind of dying, folks. Like, yeah, it is. That's actually past kind of dying. It's pretty much dying to dead. Convergence was a big sign of that because Convergence opened back up all the pre-52 stuff. All that, and they're bringing out a new book that's back to Superman and Lois being in married in continuity again too. Well, so. That is actually they're bringing them back in like this, where it's like you're gonna have the 52 Superman meeting pre-52 Superman married to Lois. God willing, pre-52 Superman will beat the piss out of this idiotic frat boy Superman that we have now. With the skill set, it probably won't happen, but I don't know. Because the whole how does the whole new power thing come into play?
It's hard to say. I don't know. This is a rabbit hole I have no interest in going down right this second.
That's the thing.
Because we're past an hour and I have 2 more things to talk about.
I feel I feel like we could get an updated look on the costumes, but keep pre-52 mindsets and characteristics.
Agreed.
That's what I'll say about that. But we're excited. So
yes, very timidly excited.
Timidly excited.
The 2 last things I want to talk about today are less sort of on a dour note, or a sour note, as it were.
Wait.
We'll save that for very last because it'll be a nice up note.
Yep.
Wes Craven passed away. I know you weren't a huge fan of his, or like especially, or anything
I don't know.
Let's
look down the list of movies he did, because I might be a fan and just not realize it.
You can't really, like, whether you're a fan of all of his movies or not, his impact on the world of horror cannot be ignored. Especially Nightmare on Elm Street. It's a seminal horror film. The first one, of course. And the funny thing is, as associated with as he is with it, he really only did 2 of the movies. Yeah. The first one and The New Nightmare, which in my opinion are the 2 best ones.
Oh, Swamp Thing.
He also, tying into the comic book world, directed the original Swamp Thing movie, which was not very comic booky, but an awesome movie.
But I mean, even if you go back and read,
it's very Bernie Wrightson Swamp Thing.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
Which is fine with me, because that's the fucking Swamp Thing that's worth reading.
Yep. That's...
he's responsible for Last House on the Left, Hills Have Eyes, just amazing shit like that. Not only that, but Serpent in the Rainbow, which is a psychological horror movie.
Vampire in fucking Brooklyn.
Which is an underrated movie. I actually love that. We both share the
love
I
love Vampire in Brooklyn. That movie's awesome.
Not only that, but People Under the Stairs, which is an underrated horror movie.
Love that fucking
Shocker,
movie.
Which is one of my favorite kind of schlocky, late 80s, early 90s horror movies. The impact of Scream can't be understated either, because it kind of revamped the horror genre.
My Soul to Take. I thought there was interesting points to that concepts, but execution wasn't great. Character.
I've never actually seen that one. I have it, but I have not seen it.
What?
My Soul to Take.
Oh, that's interesting. It's an interesting.
Red Eye was an excellent movie. It was very much not a traditional horror movie. It was very psychological. If you like Cillian Murphy, you'll love it. Cursed was in concept better than it turned out to be, and it's mostly because they got heavily re-edited by the studio. Yeah. And the werewolf looked like a bear.
And they casted Jesse Eisenberg.
And Jesse Eisenberg sucks cocks in hell. Yeah.
But however, Christina Ricci and Joshua Jackson.
But he's also responsible for things that are not horror. I mean, every horror director kind of does their one movie that's not horror at all. And he did a great movie called Music of the Heart, which is not even my kind of movie, but it's a movie about music programs in inner city schools.
Yeah,
and has Meryl Streep and it did Meryl Streep and Aidan Quinn and Gloria Estefan. And it is widely considered to be an excellent movie, and it is a very good watch, even for those who are not a fan of that genre. It's a very heartfelt movie.
Yes.
And I don't know, Wes Craven, he's one of those guys, if you watch him in interviews, you'd never know he was a horror director. He was very erudite. He was very, a calm guy.
Didn't have that.
He looked like your hyper intelligent uncle that went to Harvard or something. Yeah. And he was very soft spoken, but he had a vision for horror. Yeah. That really was very different. I put him in the same category as John Carpenter, as of importance to the genre of horror. Mm-hmm. And I will always love the original Nightmare on Elm Street, and I even love the not so good Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Because even though they're goofy, they're still a hell of a lot of fun to watch. And he's also produced many important movies and written many movies as well. He's just as prolific as a writer as he is a director. Yeah. He wrote the Pulse movie, which I actually liked quite a bit, from 2006. A lot of his stuff has been redone recently. Freddy is an iconic character. If nothing else, he's instantly recognizable for the creation of Freddy Krueger.
And for the Ghostface from Scream.
Yeah, and Ghostface from Scream. He knew how to do horror that would work.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
to evolve it as it went.
Yes, and he knew how to evolve with the times, absolutely. And that's something actually that John Carpenter doesn't have as well, because he really hasn't been able to make that kind of leap into the modern. But Wes Craven did have that ability. Yeah. And he was extremely, extremely genius level IQ. Very, from everybody that's ever spoken a word about him, it's always been a positive thing. He's one of those directors that people love to work with.
Yeah.
He's also one of those people that took the time to like remember where he came from, and then also like remember actors that he's worked with, and help other up and coming filmmakers make movies. Like he executive produced Feast and Dracula 2000 and
Hollywood
Wishmaster. He's executive producer on Wishmaster and a lot of different TV shows, stuff like that. I mean, he is also an Ohio native too, born in Cleveland.
Yep.
So I mean, I was very sad. I've always been a huge fan, and I've watched a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff with him because he is one of those directors who is willing to talk a lot about what he's done. And I watched, like, if you can get the box set of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, it's worth it for the documentary alone, because it's about a 5-hour documentary, and it is epic. And they also did a recent one that Heather Langenkamp, Nancy from the original Nightmare on Elm Street, made that's even more fucking amazingly excellent.
And he was also one of those directors too that also went for practical at every chance he could, because
practical, and he understood gallows humor well. Dark humor, gallows humor better than a lot of other horror people do. Like, there's horror comedies and there's stuff that Wes Craven does, and he understands that designation where like it goes from gallows humor to being over the top. And he did well at dancing on that line. So, and then he's also one of those very self-aware, self-referential directors and stuff too. Watch New Nightmare. New Nightmare is a very underrated movie, but it's excellent movie.
It showed his ability to go with, like, evolve with the times and make a Freddy movie that for that time period was very what things were. So, I mean,
he will be very sorely missed, especially by me. And like, I've been kind of deciding on like what movies to watch, that are Wes Craven movies. And like, there's a few I haven't seen. Like, I haven't seen My Soul to Take, and I didn't watch Scream 4, but I've liked all the other ones. I did recently watch Shocker again, which I can watch Shocker anytime because it's just one of those really fun movies. And People Under the Stairs, Swamp Thing,
and People Under the Stairs, God, yes.
Yeah, his influence in the world of horror cannot be overstated, and he would be very, very sadly missed by me for sure.
Yeah.
Then also kind of in the wow. I mean, we talked a lot about wrestling on last week's show because we reviewed SummerSlam, and if the numbers are any indication, we should talk more about wrestling is what I'm getting, because the numbers for the show were very good. And it was a lot of fun. Like, reviewing a long show like that is tricky to keep it interesting, but we had a lot of fun doing it, and SummerSlam was a fun show.
Yeah.
And we did watch Raw this week, but I don't want to talk really too much about it. But Sting was in the forefront of this week and last week's Raw, so it should be interesting. Night of Champions. We might actually try to do Night of Champions too. Yeah. But in wrestling news, though, Jimmy Snuka has been in the news this week, and not for a good reason, unfortunately.
Jimmy been a bad man.
Jimmy's 72 years old, and he's just recently had stomach cancer surgery and is suffering from dementia, unfortunately. But he's also in the news because he's been charged with third-degree murder.
And involuntary manslaughter.
Yes, and the 1983 death of his girlfriend at the time, her name was Nancy Argentino. And apparently she died in a hotel room that they were sharing in 1983 of what at the time suspect circumstances. What at the time that he said was an accident, that she fell and hit her head, but the coroner's report officially at the time ruled it as a homicide. And
just about every report from that time period says it should have been it should be treated as a homicide. And
it kind of sat dormant as a cold case in Lehigh County in Pennsylvania for many, many years. But now, about 3 years ago, one of the local newspapers brought the story back to the forefront and kind of called for some justice to be fucking served.
Yeah.
And he actually lost in 1985 a wrongful death suit for $500,000, which he never paid to the family because he claimed he was broke. And I'm like, this does not line up, because the time period that this happened in 1985 would have been the peak of his career.
Yeah.
So basically, they brought him into court, and he was officially indicted and charged for third-degree murder. And the maximum sentence is 20 to 40 years in prison. It's very serious. There's no statute of limitations.
He will die.
There's no statute of limitations on murder. And the evidence is pretty strong against him. Not only was there multiple documented cases of him severely beating this woman,
Yeah.
One of them in a hotel, he was seen by the police arriving to be pulling her down,
dragging her
down the hall nude,
naked, by her hair,
while she was screaming to get away from him.
Yeah.
And
then he, even in that same charge, he got charged with resisting arrest.
Yes.
And being extremely fucking high.
On coke and
steroids and alcohol and other, it was bad.
This has not been a good year for wrestling legends.
No. And the thing about this is when it got brought back up and it got looked at by all, the people, the different witnesses, all this stuff, it came out that I believe it showed, from my count, that he had told probably close to around 20 different stories of how...
Yeah, they said between 7 and 9 at least.
For these certain people. But then, if you count all the people that he's talked to, the podcast, everything like that, it's probably just shy of 20 different stories that he's told from when it happened till now of how this woman died.
Yeah.
And most of them do not paint him in a great light. Even
in his biography, he says in 1983 he was basically the worst year of his life.
Yeah.
That he was constantly on coke and liquor and steroids and was violent and, it does not look good.
And if you look at how in recent years with wrestling and stuff like that, even just a combination of two of those, mainly steroids and alcohol, the things, you bring up Chris Benoit, just steroids, and we don't know what else might have been in that situation too, but what road that went down. So to believe that he might have, and they in the coroner's report said she had 37 different cuts and bruises and all around her head and stuff. Yeah, it was bad. It basically looks like Jimmy beat this woman into a fucking major concussion and
then left her there, went and wrestled a show, and then came back and he said he found her unresponsive and
there was two other wrestlers that were there with the police officer.
It's a fuckaroo.
Yeah, it was really bad. So, but they basically charged him, did all the stuff. They did give him bail,
which they don't normally do in murder cases, but because of his medical problems
and age,
they were basically it would be a burden of the state to keep him in county jail because of the pay that they would have to do for medical, and so they gave him a $100,000 bond, which he paid 10% of to get released.
But they confiscated his passport.
Yeah, he's not really a flight risk.
No, he's not.
So, it's unfortunate to see someone, had a legendary career like this, but if he did this, and by all accounts it seems that he did, then he absolutely deserves to pay for it.
The question comes down to, though, is will a jury actually convict a 72-year-old man who just got out of cancer surgery, survived cancer,
dementia,
and has dementia? Will they put him in jail?
Yeah. Probably not.
And that's the sad thing about it, is because it's one of those things where it's as much as you want justice, and if he did it, I do believe he deserves, the family deserves justice. Yes. He deserves to pay for what he did. But at the same time, all you're really doing is putting him in a cell that you're now going to have to pay for.
The state, he's going to be a financial burden to the state of epic proportions, considering the amount of treatment that he's needed just to keep him alive.
Yeah. If you just take away the dementia, there's the cancer, which may come back at any time.
Yeah, stomach cancer ain't no joke.
And by all senses of the word, they have to take care of it. They have to seek the best way to. You can't just be like, oh, well, he's got cancer again, I guess he's just going to die in prison. That's not how it works.
Yeah, it doesn't work that way.
Unfortunately, that's not how it works. I'm sorry if you're in prison for murdering somebody. I don't necessarily agree that we should pay for your, terminal illness.
No, that's a subject that is more than we have in show left here.
But it is. But it is sad because I know many people of the wrestling world who were always fucking, Jimmy Snuka fans.
Yeah. It's unfortunate.
It is.
But I don't want to end the show on a super horrible sour note, so let's end it on a super fun happy note.
Super fun happy note.
One last little piece of news is that Amazon, through their TV service, is resurrecting the live-action Tick series, which I love that show.
With Patrick Warburton for a new pilot.
Yes. Now, the only thing is Patrick Warburton's a bit old for the show. 2002 was when the original show was filmed.
Yeah.
And if you guys have not seen this
and it only had 8 episodes.
Yeah, if you guys haven't seen this show, it's on Netflix. Please watch it. Like... And what sucks is at the time that I was trying to get a hold of it, it wasn't on Netflix and you couldn't find it anywhere, and we had to pay for an expensive-ass DVD version of it.
Okay, but here's the clarification, though. Star Patrick Warburton has made a deal with right holder Sony Television to produce a pilot for a rebooted version of the Tick. So, in the original show, Warburton played the Tick, a big blue and clumsy parody of a superhero. The series was based off a comic, blah, 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 blah. Show was favorably received by critics at the time and has since garnered a bit of a cult following, but has canceled because Fox is a bunch of douchebags. Now that the superheroes are making a comeback, Amazon's original series arm is giving the Tick a shot. Like other shows that go through Amazon Studios, a pilot episode for the Tick will stream online along with other new shows, and viewers' votes will help decide if it gets produced into a full series.
Yeah, I'm cautiously excited because Amazon has had a few ideas in the last few years that looked interesting but never actually came to fruition. They did the Zombieland pilot and stuff, and it never got anywhere either.
But that's also due to fans.
Yeah.
So this is one of those things, guys. If this was a show that you liked,
yes,
watch the pilot. It will stream. And if you like it, vote for it. Don't just be like, oh, I liked it. It was cool. Vote for it. Because the more that you vote for it, if you like the pilot, say, the more of a chance that it will actually get made into a full show.
Yep.
I mean, come on. If Community can be made into a fucking full show, you motherfuckers can get Tick back.
So keep your eyes open for the Tick pilot, and hopefully it'll be as awesome as the original. And,
I wonder who they would get to play the Tick, though.
I don't know.
Because Warburton is pretty old, so...
Yeah. I'm sure that they'll find someone interesting.
Got to be a sizable guy, because the Tick is not small.
No, he is not.
He is not.
It should be fun and interesting to see what they do.
Arthur. Batman well. I just want to see Batman well.
It should be Deflator Mouse, damn it.
Batman well!
Fuck Batman well, but I did love Batman well. Yeah. But yeah, we're on the 125 here, Mark, so we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. And this is what happens when we go too long between shows. We end up doing long-ass shows.
Whatever. People love it, and if not, they can suck my dick.
We'll get back on our regular schedule here soon. But it looks like, though, also that we were doing some figuring, and our 100th show is going to line right up with Halloween this year.
Yes, so
we're looking for something special to do for the 100th show. So if you guys have suggestions, let us know.
Throw them out.
Throw them out there, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
But until next week... From the basement, I'm Todd.
I'm Dave.
And until next time, the basement door is el closed.
See you later.
Ándale.